Hello everyone. So today we are going to improve this Yondu's weapon system I implemented previously. So last time it was going in a straight path. Now the weapon will be going in a curved path like this. You can see it's getting curves instead of going in a simple direct line. And as we change, even if we change the character locations in the runtime, the weapon will go through them correctly. So also we will add this simple trail effect to the weapon as well. Okay, so yeah, let's see how to do this today. Okay, so at the moment this weapon works like this. It goes in a straight line and comes to the original position. Let me show it again. See, so I'm gonna work on two things today. First, I'm going to add a simple particle trail, and then I'm going to make this weapon move in a curved path instead of going in this straight lines. So first let's create a new folder, fx, and create a simple Niagara system using the fountain ns trail. Okay, so here first I'll remove gravity, and then under this velocity let's change the angle, make it smaller, and speed let's set to x direction, so it will be emitting particles towards the forward axis of the atom. Velocity, I don't really need a faster velocity because all I'm planning to do is moving the weapon, so the trail, it should be enough if the trail appears behind. Right, let's make this red and scale, let's make this non-uniform, so like this, and let's align it to the velocity, so we will see, yeah, it will appear, the particles will appear longer towards the direction they are moving. And shape location, I don't think we need to spawn particles in a wider area, so I'll make this radius 2, and the spawn rate, maybe we need to have a thicker line, so we need a bit more particles, right? And if we need to have a longer trail, we will need to increase the lifetime of the particles as well. So I'll set the drag to 0.9. Right, now let's attach this ns trail to this, to our weapon, and see how it looks. System, okay, and it's in forward direction. Let me rotate it so it shoots particles backward. Right, okay, now let's see. Cool, now we can see a trail, and we can clearly see it is moving in straight lines, which doesn't look cool. See, So I want it to move in a curved line. That's the next step. Feel free to do further modifications to the particle trail. So I just need some trail and this is good enough for me. So the next part is moving it in a curved line. Okay, so to have a curved path, here first let's add this is just a test. Let's add a spline component like this, and in the construction script, we already have, and this here we already have this part that gets the actors from this npc class and save it into this targets. Let me just copy this here and let's run a for each loop, and on this spline let's add spline point with the word location of these actors. They should be added in world space. Now if I compile, see, if when you press G you go to the game view where you don't see any of the editor icons. So if you press G you can toggle it, so you can see the spline. So here we have a curved path. Now if I can do this in the runtime and move this weapon along this path, it will be going through a curved line. But I have a small issue here. So instead of just turning the weapon at the exact location of this target, it would look cooler if the weapon goes past this target a bit and then turn before it going through the next target. So if we can do that, that would be perfect. So how can we do that? Maybe we can do something like this. Here we can access the index and subtract 1. So if this is greater or equal to 0, that means this is not the 0th index. So then we can do something like this. From this actor we can get direction, get unit direction vector from this location. Oh no, not that, from the previous location to this location. So we can access the previous location like this. We need to have a branch here. From the targets we can get a copy using this index and get actor location. Right. Oh wait, maybe there's a much simpler way to do this. We have the index, we can get from the spline we can get previous point. get spline, get location at spline point. So I think we can use the same index. So because as we are adding an index here, adding a point here, we would initially we will have some point anyway, so we will always have a point in the given index. Oh, hold on, we already have 2 points, right? Oh, maybe not. Okay, anyway, let's just see what happens. Weld. Right, and then in this direction we can multiply this by some float, let's say 300 units, and add to the same location. And add it as another point. So basically duplicate this thing. We don't really need this anymore now. So we are adding 2 points. Oh, but now I have some doubt using this point. So maybe, yeah, we should get the last, we should get the location of the point before we add in this point. That means the one before the last point. So get points, get number of spline points, yeah, -1. Right, this should work. Okay, right, now you can see they are not directly changing, they are going some, they are doing a turn a bit like this, but I think maybe we can have a longer turn. Oh, why it's not going longer? Sorry, this should be 1. Oh wait, but 2. Yeah, correct, 2, because when we get the number of spline points for the index, it should be always number of points -1 would be the last index, -2 would be the point before the last index. So yeah, okay, yeah, now we can reduce this 300. Let's see, yeah, see, now the weapon is not exactly stopping in the middle, they continue and do its turning somewhere else. Right, and now let's do this in the runtime. So here, let me set the reload node here. Wait, since the characters are not moving, even if I do this in the construction script, it should be fine, but later on I should do this right before the character starts moving, the right before the weapon starts shooting. So I think let's first test the movements. So this is how it moves. Instead of doing it like that, Right, let me collapse this part. This is the previous movement logic. So old movement logic, and let's disconnect it for now, but I'm not going to delete it because we might still need to refer to that time. So yeah, here this part. Let's convert this to macro. Draw line. What's happening? Oh, it crashed. Well, I have lost the part where I did the spline because of the crashing, but anyway, let's modify this movement logic itself to include the spline. So how can we do that? Here what we are doing is moving the object itself to these locations. So instead of doing that, let's add this as a spline point, and let's move the spline in the tick. Move the object along the spline in the tick. So right, get the spline, add spline point, and kill. Okay, and here also, instead of moving, let's add spline point as the final location, that where the weapon comes back to the original location. Alright, now we have a spline. So here I'll add another new variable, traveled length. So I'm going to use this variable to move the weapon along the spline. One more thing, before we start adding and moving, we need to detach the spline from the parent character, otherwise as the object moves, the wait, we don't really have to move the object, it's enough to move this cylinder. Yeah, so it's fine. So in the tick, traveled length, let's keep this here. In the tick, we can get the traveled length, and we can get the length of the spline, and we can compare. If traveled length is less than the spline length, we can increase the traveled length. Oh, before increasing, let's get transform at distance along spline. So if I use this traveled length, this will give us the location and the rotation along this given length on the spline. So I'm going to move this cylinder. So let me rename this weapon root. I'm going to move this weapon root. Well, let's just set actor set world location and rotation with these values. And tick. But to do this condition must be true. Okay, and after that we can slightly increment the traveled length. So let's promote this to a variable and name it weapon speed. Let's say 5. We can let's try 1 first and set the traveled length. Well, actually, to make this frame rate independent, we can multiply this with delta seconds. Get delta seconds and set as the new traveled length. Okay, let me save. And let's see. Let's test. Oh, it's not moving at all. What's wrong? Right. Well, we don't really need to set the rotation of the actor anymore. And also this part is wrong. Instead of actor location, we should use V1. Now this weapon root get world location. Wait, before any of these, let's just set the target location and see if it works. No. Well, I think we need to have a much faster speed here for the weapon speed, and the trail should be attached to the weapon foot. And obviously you could see the rotation is not correct, but yeah, it is going correctly. Okay, but yeah, rotation is not correct. So how do we fix the rotation. I think weapon root. So here we have this rotation. Okay, that could be the problem, right? Let me rename this again. Back to cylinder, and let's add another scene component as weapon. Let's call it arrow root. Arrow seems much better than weapon. And move the cylinder under the weapon, under the arrow. So arrow doesn't have any rotation, and wherever I have cylinder references, I replace it with the arrow root. Let's see. Okay. Right. Still, it should be much faster. So great. This time it looked alright. But still, you can see it looks like they are just lines. They don't have that nice curved path. For that, what we can do is here we can add one more point. Using this calculation. So to make sure this spline goes through the object, we definitely we definitely need to add this point, which is the exact location of the target, and then yeah, we can do this calculation. Well, actually we don't need this part now. Convert to float, let's say 1000, and let's add that also. Here let's add this one. Set spline point. So now we should have some path, nice path. Okay, I think 1000 is too long. So maybe 300 or 200. Yeah. One more thing to make it a bit more interesting. Let's add some Z variation too. So random floating range minus 100 to plus 100. So it would not be in the same level. See, great. Okay, right, so I modified this speed, and here I've made it wait for let's say 0.4 seconds, and let's see what happens, how it looks. Great. So let's turn off the trail at the beginning and turn it on only if it is moving. So here, only after it is short, let's start it. Activate. And after the movement is done, now this is not the old movement logic anymore, it's just movement logic. Let's deactivate at the end. Okay, let's see now. All right, so okay, that's it. Let's add a few more characters. To make it, to see how it works. Great. So yeah, I'm gonna stop this episode right here. And thanks for watching. As always, project files will be available here for the Patreon page, to the download in the Patreon page. Link would be in the description below. And if you like to support my work, you can get the membership of the Patreon club. See you in another episode. Goodbye.